So, there's this city on the Volga River, formerly Tsaritsyn, later Volgograd, but for one particularly unpleasant winter in 1942, it was Stalingrad. A certain German leader, known for his questionable facial hair and world domination hobbies, decided he absolutely had to have it. Not for any brilliant strategic reason, mind you. The oil fields were to the south. No, he wanted it because it was named after his arch nemesis. It was the geopolitical equivalent of keying someone's car. On the other side, you had Joseph Stalin, a man who wasn't exactly known for his flexible conflict resolution style. So he issued Order Number 227, famously known as "not one step back." It was a simple, elegant policy that made retreating a potentially fatal career move for his own soldiers. The stage was set for a masterclass in stubbornness. The festivities began on August 23, 1942. General von Richthofen's Luftflotte 4 decided to skip the pleasantries and just erase the city from the air. They flew over 1,600 sorties that day, dropping thousands of tons of incendiary and high-explosive bombs. The result was a firestorm that turned a city of wood-built houses into a sea of flame. Initial estimates, which are always conservative when you're the one dropping the bombs, suggest around 40,000 civilians were killed in the first week. The German thinking was this would shatter Soviet morale. In a stunning twist that surprised absolutely no one with a basic understanding of human psychology, it did the exact opposite. It turned every pile of rubble into a fortress and every surviving civilian into a potential combatant. A truly brilliant opening move. With the city pre-ruined for their convenience, the German Sixth Army moved in. What followed was the Rattenkrieg, or Rat War. This wasn't grand strategy, it was fighting for a single room, a staircase, a sewer pipe. The front line could be the space between the kitchen and the living room. The life expectancy of a new soldier in the thick of it was, on average, about 24 hours. Let's talk numbers. The Sixth Army pushed in with about 250,000 men. The Soviet 62nd Army, under the relentlessly grim Vasily Chuikov, was tasked with holding them off. His strategy was simple: hug the enemy. Keep so close they couldn't use their superior air power without hitting their own guys. By November, the Germans held 90% of the city. A great success, if you ignore the fact that they'd lost tens of thousands of highly trained soldiers to take a pile of smoldering bricks. While the Germans were busy winning the contest for most men lost per square meter, the Soviets were planning something a little more ambitious. General Georgy Zhukov, a man who treated armies like chess pieces, gathered 1 million men for a little surprise party called Operation Uranus. On November 19th, they struck, not at the battle-hardened Sixth Army in the city, but at their flanks. These flanks were conveniently held by Romanian and Italian armies who were under-equipped, overstretched, and generally unenthusiastic about freezing to death for German territorial ambitions. They collapsed. Almost instantly. Within 4 days, the Soviets had linked up, and the Sixth Army, the pride of the Wehrmacht, was trapped. The hunters had become the starving, freezing, and very surprised prey. Being trapped wasn't ideal, but the German leader had a plan. His buddy, Hermann Göring, the head of the Luftwaffe, promised he could supply the entire Sixth Army from the air, all 300,000 men. He assured everyone it was no problem. The Sixth Army needed about 750 tons of supplies a day to function. On their best day, the Luftwaffe managed 289 tons. Most days, it was less than 100. Sometimes they dropped crates of the wrong ammunition, or thousands of left shoes, or pepper and marjoram. You can't shoot pepper at a T-34 tank. Meanwhile, the daily ration for a German soldier dwindled to 2 slices of bread, a little bit of horse meat if you were lucky, and soup made from melting snow. The airlift wasn't a lifeline. It was a cruel, inefficient joke that just prolonged the agony. By January 1943, the situation in the Kessel, or cauldron, was beyond hopeless. Soldiers were freezing to death in their foxholes. Typhus and dysentery were rampant. Ammunition was nearly gone. General Paulus, commanding the 6th Army, repeatedly asked for permission to surrender. The response from headquarters was a resounding nope. As a final act of motivational genius, on January 30th, the German leader promoted Paulus to field marshal. This was not a congratulatory gesture. It was a threat. No German field marshal in history had ever surrendered. The implication was clear: shoot yourself. Don't you dare embarrass me. Paulus, a man who fundamentally was not a fanatic, politely declined the invitation for suicide. He surrendered the next day. A brand new field marshal, captured in the basement of a department store. The irony was probably lost on him at the time. So, let's get to the final bill for this exercise in ego. Of the roughly 300,000 Axis soldiers trapped in the cauldron, about 91,000 surrendered. The rest were dead. Of those 91,000 prisoners, only about 5,000 ever saw Germany again. The rest perished in Soviet POW camps from disease, starvation, and overwork. So for the Axis, you're looking at a total loss of around 500,000 men in the broader Stalingrad campaign, including the poor Romanians and Italians holding the flanks. But that's only half the story. The Soviets paid a much higher price to win. The Red Army suffered an estimated 1.1 million casualties. That's killed, wounded, and missing. Over 1 million. And the civilians? Estimates range from the initial 40,000 to hundreds of thousands. No one knows for sure. All told, the battle for one man's name probably cost close to 2 million human lives. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more historical insights. Thanks for watching, nerds!